MGM. With us today is a former contract player with both RKO Radio and MGM Studios. Please join us in welcoming Carol Brewster. And now, here's your puckish man of the half hour, Skip E Lowe.
I just want to tell you all how happy I am to be back in the studio, making a picture again. You don't know how much I've missed all of you. And I promise you I'll never desert you again. Because after Salome, we'll make another picture and another picture. You see, this is my life. It always will be. There's nothing else. Just us. And the cameras. And those wonderful people out there in the dark. All right, Mr. DeMille, I'm ready for my close-up.
Hey, Carol Brewster. MGM, my God, 7-year contract. To be a 7-year contract player at MGM at that time with the biggest stars like Lana Turner, how did you feel about it? First of all, how did you get that 7-year contract?
Well, first of all, I was discovered by Sam Coslow.
Sam who?
Sam Coslow, the songwriter. The book Cocktails for Two, My Old Flame, Penthouse Serenade, Just One More Chance.
How did he discover you?
I met him at Frank Orsatti's office, an agent.
Right.
Victor Orsatti. And we started to, well, that came later, dated later, but he was very interested in me and said I was a beautiful girl, which is nice of him. And would I be interested in going over to see somebody he knew at the studio? Yeah, so they set up an appointment for me over there.
Right.
With Mr.
Did you
Miller.
have to do a screen test?
Yes, and somebody in my travels, since I have been moving around and bought a house in Big Bear Lake and so forth, and the earthquake and blah, 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 somebody stole it, and I had it for years, and it was a very nice little test.
Who did the test with you? Who did the test with you?
He just passed away, John Russell.
John Russell, of course.
Yeah, I don't know what he's done since. He did that Lawman series, but he was trying to get a contract or do something, but he was the one I did it with.
You grew up here in Hollywood, did you?
Yes.
Went to school here at Dorsey High?
Yes.
What happened? But were you a model queen, or what were you? What were you doing? As a model, or what? Or studied acting?
No, well, actually, when I was 11 years old, and I can't remember the producer's name, somebody saw me on the street and said I was a cute little girl, and that I had a nice voice. Would I like to do some radio?
So you did radio at the beginning of your career?
Well, yeah, and it's so long ago. It's on there somewhere. So I did a lot of radio shows, and
Mayor of the Town. Remember that one with Lionel Barrymore?
Yeah,
you don't know.
I
Okay,
didn't do that one.
Go ahead.
No, but I did a whole bunch of them. Okay. And played the little girl and stuff, and then I had to
the Great Gildersleeve, of course.
Yes. And then I had to, finish school. So, because a person has to go to high school and junior high school, so then I got interested in the movies because everybody said, "Oh, you're tall and you should be in the movies."
Did your parents encourage you, or just the people encouraged you?
No, the people. Well, not my mother.
No?
She didn't like it. She thought that she was Scotch, and she said that people in Hollywood were phony, because that was her interpretation at the time.
Carol Brewster, did you go home and tell your mommy, "Mommy, I want to get in the movies, I want to be in the movies," or something like that, or what?
Oh, I know. I had a lot of drive. I don't know how I ever did it, and I'm not trying to brag, I assure you. But really, when I was 15 and 16 years old, I was going to dinner at Errol Flynn's house, and I didn't have anything to do with Errol Flynn, but a girl...
You were 16 with Errol Flynn around?
Oh, I was
the
only
house?
15.
15?
Oh, yeah, he never bothered me. He was a very nice man, but my girlfriend was dating him, and she was 19. So she took me along, and I was the kid, and I didn't see anything strange up there in Mulholland Drive. And just before I really, did the movies, but I had already done the radio, before that. And I met Jane Greer at Louis B. Mayer's house after that, and I got to be friendly with both of those people.
Right.
And at that time, there were all these extraordinary-looking people around Hollywood, like, you know, Tyrone Power, and I used to go to parties at his house.
So you used to see all these great actors, these
yes,
beautiful people.
And, yes, and Humphrey Bogart and so forth and so on.
So tell me about Carol Brewster, first film. It was
The
Barclays of Broadway.
Yes, it was.
That was Fred Astaire,
Yes.
Ginger Rogers.
Right.
Matter of fact, you did 3 films with Ginger Rogers, and I mean Fred Astaire.
Yes.
3. Who were the? What was the
Actually,
others?
The Belle of New York.
The Belle of New York.
Yes, Belle of New York, the Barclays of Broadway, and I did.
Who else? That
One-Piece Bathing Suit or $1 Million Mermaid with Esther Williams.
Esther Williams. Yes.
Yeah. And I'll tell you something, after Mr. Mayer died, I've never been able to figure it out. And if I write a book about Hollywood, I would want to go into the archives. The contract players, there was a girl under contract at the time. We were both signed at the same time. We couldn't get into any of the films after he died.
You mean after Metro-Goldwyn
Mr. Mayer passed away?
Really?
Well, it was during that period. It was in the 50s.
Uh-huh.
He passed away.
But you did Bandwagon, too.
Yes. Yes,
That was
I
a
did.
great movie. You've done some great films.
And you know what? I had a very good part in the Bandwagon, and on television I can't find myself. I wonder if they kept me out. But not the Barclays of Broadway. I'll give you that tape. You can have it because
You
played
did a movie. You did a movie with Joan Crawford. Let's go back.
Flamingo Road.
Flamingo Road.
With David
Jesus.
Bryan.
Who was in it?
David Bryan.
David Bryan.
Yeah,
Working with Joan
He
Crawford.
was about 36 years old, or so handsome, and when I told him that I was only 16,
You were 16 then?
he didn't know. But he's 16.
And you played one of the girls of the houses, is that
Yes,
it?
yes.
You play a lot of girls of the houses those days, didn't you? You did cowboy movies, a lot of westerns.
Yeah, I did westerns, yeah. Since I've been an agent for 22 years,
What do you mean an agent? You were an agent? I didn't know that. You were an agent here in Hollywood?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, I did. Okay, we'll talk about
for
that.
22
Okay.
years. My husband, who I married, who I've been, will be 25 years in next January, Arnie Gerritsen is from Holland. He did not want to be an actor.
How did you meet your husband?
I was a friend of the German Consul General because I'm third generation German, and
Right.
Somewhere along the line I met him and told him that I was an American of German descent, second
Right,
generation.
right.
You know, that's a long way back. And he introduced me to the Dutch Consul General. So one day the Dutch Consul called me and he said, "I'm having a lovely party, would you like to come?" So I had just gotten a divorce from somebody. I was married a very short time to Chet
Right.
Gray, and I was pretty upset about it because my mother left me a lot of money, and it sort of disappeared.
So you got married. So you met this man and you got married. Right away, did you? Fell in love right away?
After she passed away, yeah,
no,
I did.
No, not you fell in love right away after she passed away. No, this man you married, this Dutchman.
Oh, this was the second husband. He's my second husband.
Oh, this was
Yeah,
really?
he's my
Okay.
second husband. So I got a divorce anyway. So I went to the party at the Dutch
Right.
consulate, and
Got confused a little.
came to the door as this absolutely striking-looking young man, 20 years old.
Right.
And he looked so much like Desi Arnaz, I couldn't believe it. And I said, "Gee."
Is this the Dutchman now?
Yes, I'm still married
Okay,
to him.
okay,
So
go ahead.
Forever.
This is-
25 years almost. So he came to the door, and I thought, if that isn't the handsomest, cutest boy I've ever seen. He spoke English, you know, and he'd only been here for 6 months.
From Amsterdam?
Yeah, well, he's from Limerick.
Okay, that's
And
Holland.
That's,
Okay.
yes, and from Holland, and it's a beautiful country. I've been
Yes.
there many times since. And he was so mannerly. He was nothing like some of the men I dated in Hollywood, which certainly didn't have his manners. He just has beautiful manners, and that's the way he is. So he invited me out to breakfast or lunch or something, and I went, and, you know, and we dated for a while, and eventually we got married.
Any kids?
No
No kids. Carol, but there's a movie that you did I love. One of the classics. Matter of fact, they're doing it on Broadway now. They're bringing it to Broadway. Showboat. You were in Showboat. The original
Yeah,
Showboat.
I was in Showboat, but it's a funny thing.
With Ava Gardner?
Yes. I have been, I don't know, I didn't, you know, I had just gotten the contract just a couple of years before,
Right.
1950, so, and I was so young, and I was too dumb to say, hey, be sure and, you know, put my name there, or you know, or
Right.
or be sure that you leave me in if you don't cut me out or something.
Do they cut you out a lot in those days in the movies?
Not really, but that film I can't find myself in, but I find myself in a lot
What's
of
this
other
clip I'm going to show now about you in your Western? You played a lot of Westerns. This Western?
Oh, this is Death Valley Days. It's the last
The Death
one.
Valley Days,
Yes,
a TV series, a
yes.
TV show.
Yes, it was the last one that Ronald Reagan announced, and he told me on the set that he was going to go into politics.
Okay, we'll
That
talk
was-
about that in a minute, okay? I want to get back with Ronald Reagan and you. Okay, let's show this clip, would you please, of Death Valley.
What the devil are you doing here?
Well, I guess you might say I'm looking for him.
Looking for who?
Devil. He's the only one I'm allowed to fight.
Get him out of here.
He's not harming anybody.
I said get him out of here.
Hello.
Why, hello.
I didn't know Sky Pilots drank.
He don't drink and he don't gamble, so you're wasting your time.
I don't think so. I'd like to talk to you, Reverend.
You got nothing to talk to him about.
Can we go outside where it's quiet and private?
Why, yes, of course, ma'am.
My name's Claire Vernon. My friends just call me Claire.
She got lots of friends. Lots of them.
Now we can talk.
Yes, ma'am.
You start.
Well,
I suppose you're wondering why a nice girl like me is working in a den of iniquity.
well, it does seem sort of wrong.
Well, I could give you a lot of answers. But the truth is, it's the only job I can get. You want to laugh, Reverend? Well, I'll give you one. I'm a grown woman. I can't read or write.
Well, it's not too late to learn.
It's much too late for me. Why did you come to Carson City? Couldn't you find a job anywhere else?
Yes, I was offered a church back east in Baltimore, but I sort of thought I could do some good out here.
Nobody can do Carson City any good.
Why do you say that?
Because the mines are all worked out. The money's gone. Nevada's dead. They just forgot to bury it.
Claire! Get in here.
The lady and I were talking.
What lady?
He knows what I am.
And what are you hanging around for, Reverend?
Well, I'd like to help if I can.
Oh, go peddle your prayers.
Keep
Go on
moving.
before you get hurt.
All right, get in line.
Carol, looking at that today, how do you feel about that? How do you feel looking at yourself those days? You've done a lot of Westerns, first of all. You've done a lot of Westerns.
Yes, I did.
How do you feel about that, looking at yourself?
Well, I love Hollywood because
That's what you're gonna say?
I was born here.
Oh, okay,
And,
okay. Ronald Reagan, I want to get back with Ronald
but-
Reagan. You were just
but
telling
it's-
me.
But it's just changed so much I can't
We'll
tell
talk
you.
about that. Tell me about Ronald Reagan.
Well,
I want to know about Ronald Reagan. You
did a
dated
movie
him.
With,
You dated him. Come on,
yes,
Carol.
Yes, I did.
What kind of guy was he?
Very nice man.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, he came to my house on Brynhurst Avenue, and the funny part is that I met him on the set, and I had just broken up with Sam. Finally, that turned into a romance with Sam Coslow, which everybody in Hollywood knew about, and of course, Sam was 26 years older than I was, and Ronald Reagan was almost 26, too.
Uh-huh.
So he's old enough to be my father. And my mother says, gee, you're sure going out with
Older men.
some older men. And I said,
Right.
well, the young fellas, they don't have.
So you enjoyed going out with older men at those days? You learned something.
Well, maybe my father died when I was 11 years old, just when I was doing those radio shows, and I think I missed my father, who was really a saint. He was a doll. And that's perhaps the reason I was looking for a father. It's very possible.
Was Ronald Reagan wild in those days, or was he conservative, like he is now? Was he wild
I
at all?
would say he was never wild.
He was never wild, was he?
No, he's a very, look, nobody's perfect.
Uh-huh.
He's a very mannerly person, and I have a lot of respect for him. I'm sure he didn't do everything right in the White House, but I voted for him twice because I felt he was the best person at that time for the job. I would vote, I'm a Republican, but I would vote Democrat if it was the right person. You know, that's it.
Carol Brewster, I'm looking at you. You said you grew up here in Hollywood, you love Hollywood, but the Hollywood you loved is gone. It's not the same Hollywood, Carol Brewster. Look at it, Hollywood Boulevard.
Hollywood.
Tell me about it. How do you feel?
Well, you would know that because you tried to help young people, and you, by the way, were very good at it, if I may say
this is
so.
years ago. Go ahead.
No, it's true. When I met Arnie, who was a doll also,
Right.
and he said he didn't want to be, oh, by the way, I forgot to tell you, I got him a contract and he went to sign it.
This is your husband, Arnie.
Yes,
And
Arnie
he
Garrettson.
became an agent.
Yes,
And you guys
later.
formed, you formed an agency in
Garrettson
Hollywood.
International.
And helped young people.
Yes, yes. He never really liked the business, I might as well tell you that, and he's glad he's out of it. He's doing something for the Dutch.
Right.
Anyway.
So
the point is, when I met him, I thought, well, it's 1970, and it was beginning to rock and roll had been, you know, and there were so many crazy people. What I miss is the elegance of Hollywood. I'm not criticizing.
was the Hollywood really elegance in those days in the 40s?
Yes.
Macombos, Cyril's,
Well,
Trocadero.
I came into the business not until 1949, so you might as well say the 50s for me.
Earl's Carols were there
No,
on Sunset. Earl Carroll's?
It was there, but I was not an Earl Carroll girl.
No, but I'm talking about Earl Carroll was there at the nights.
When I got into the picture, when I was a child, it was there. I don't know if it was, I've forgotten.
Really?
But it seems to
I'm
me...
a child, and I remember it very well.
Yeah, I think it was there.
Of course, I remember Earl Carroll's very well.
I remember
Carol.
who Earl Carroll is, and I
Okay.
remember his girlfriend,
Okay.
Burl Wallace, right?
Okay.
Okay, right.
But Hollywood has changed.
Well, yes, it has. It's... no, but as I said, you can't be perfect all the time, but
Okay.
I did find that I would go to places like Cyril's Limo Combo.
Right.
And people had better manners, and they thought
And
about
they dressed.
other people.
And they dressed.
The kids today, I can't believe it. They don't even know how to say excuse me or pardon me.
Carol, look at your talk shows on television. Look at all your Vickies and
They're
your
rude and all
Araldos.
that,
This
you know.
you got to blame. Okay, let's not talk about them. Let them have it. Let them get on their daytimes and let them soap it. But Hollywood, you did a movie with Lana Turner, a great movie.
A Life of Her Own.
A Life of Her Own. Wonderful. Tell me about Lana. She's coming out now. She's making her appearances in public. That's great.
Well, I don't know. I know some actresses very well and actors, but I didn't know her
You could
well.
not-
I worked on the set. No, she just was a big star. And I was younger, and I'd just gotten the contract, and I didn't go up to her and say,
I see.
I'm all starstruck.
You were one of the starlets at the time.
Yes.
Yeah.
I
Now-
would not go up and be rude to anybody, you know, and say, hey, grab her and say, are you Lana Turner?
Okay.
But she was nice and said,
John
how do you
Wayne.
do?
Tell me about John Wayne and you.
Well, I
High
knew-
and the Mighty. You did that movie.
Yes, I knew him much better.
But
I used to go
something-
to his office and batjack
Carol,
all the time.
let me talk to you, Carmen. I'm looking at you. When you did the High and the Mighty, wait, you went to New Orleans after you did the movie. You
No,
went to New Orleans to be crowned as a queen.
No,
You
I-
stopped, yes, I read, it said that you stopped to visit a girl, friend of yours in high school in
That's
Texas. You stopped there. I hope you don't mind me bringing this up.
No,
but,
I was going to do the movie when I got back.
Oh, okay. So what happened
Yeah,
is...
everybody's got the story wrong, but it's okay.
Oh, you didn't do the High and the Mighty then? You were contracted to do it.
Yes, I was.
Excuse me.
And
Tell us.
they got a girl to replace me. It was either Karen Sharp or Jan Sterling.
Fine.
I
Let's
don't know
talk
which
about
one.
this. Karen Sharp did it.
oh.
You're right.
Well, I guess so.
Karen Sharp, who is married to...
the director. Where is she?
She's fine. She's here.
Oh.
Now, let me talk about the girl. You went to visit her. What happened? Tell us.
I was supposed to be the queen of the Mardi Gras, and then I was coming back to Los Angeles to make the movie, right? And I got to know John Wayne much better than anybody thought, and I'm not going to go into it. He's a very nice man.
Go ahead.
And I used to go to Batjack to productions all the time. He says, I'm getting you a role, and he did, okay?
Go ahead.
That's that. So I went to New Orleans, and I suddenly had these horrible, horrible pains in my back. I thought I was, you know, I didn't know what was wrong with me.
Right.
So I said to some people, I said, I must have a pleurisy, which is a cold in your back
Cold in
or
your back,
something.
of course.
So I said, but I've got to do what I came here to do. I was in the hotel in New Orleans and in the bridal suite, and I had this beautiful dress on and all that. About the fourth day, I was so sick. All your muscles contract, and it's just a paralyzing feeling. You wish you were dead.
So what happened? You fell.
I fell over.
And they took you to the hospital.
Right in the hallway.
And the doctor told you.
I went to. They rushed me to the hospital. I can still see the ambulance. And when I got there, he said, "You have, young woman. You have a girl." I was a young.
Right. Go ahead.
Young girl. You have poliomyelitis.
Poliomyelitis.
I mean, like a dummy, I said, "What's that?" I could hardly talk. I was in an iron lung. He said, "That's infantile paralysis."
They put you in iron lung at the time?
Yeah. Well, because they thought it was going to bulbar.
Right.
And I really did too. Because this is bulbar. This is spinal.
Right.
I had spinal. It was traveling up. That's why they put me in the lung. It can travel because I noticed that when this leg was out,
right,
this one started to go up here. So they
you're completely out. How about your eyes?
Well,
did it affect your eyes at all? You said one
this
eye.
Yes, and it's fine.
Is it fine now?
But I do, when I get tired, I limp a little bit once in a while, but I'm tough as nails, and I got over it.
Is Carol Brewster so tough as nails? I understand that
only my body.
You
I'm not talking about.
You prayed.
Yes, I did.
You prayed hard. You're a very religious, very faithful lady. You prayed so hard.
I'm not
Tell us about
fanatic.
that.
I'm not fanatic or anything, but I am a Christian, so is my husband.
What happened the night?
Well, I was laying in the bed, and this is a true story, I swear to God.
Tell us the story.
And here I am, you know, I think John and Andy Fennedy and some other people I know in Hollywood, John Stevens, I said I would have been a big star if this hadn't happened. I was laying there and I thought, oh, this pain is absolutely excruciating. I don't know if I'd rather be dead. Mm-hmm. So I kept, you know, because all your muscles contract. I can't explain it to you. They do this in the back, you know, and I thought, my God, I'm not going to be able to do anything, right?
Right.
So I got very fearful and laying there, and my mother was in Los Angeles, and David Bryan and Adrian Booth were some of my friends. He passed away last year, but I called them and I told them to have Mother Russell, Jane Russell, Mother, pray for me, and Dale and Roy Rogers and everything, you know. And they all did because I
These were
belonged
all
to the
your
Hollywood
religious friends.
Yes, I belong to the Hollywood Christian group.
Right.
And Dale Rogers, by the way, is a marvelous woman, and I haven't seen her in a long time, but she is a marvelous woman.
Right.
So I was laying in the bed and I was praying so hard, and suddenly I opened my eyes, and I know that, you know, people think it's spooky or you're lying or I don't know what to think, but I saw it. This figure came towards me, and I just opened like the Lord, like I would imagine, but only from the kneecap up.
Right.
I saw a vision, I really did.
Came towards you?
Yeah, and yes. Oh, yes.
Yes.
And
did it touch you?
No, I just saw it, and it startled me so much that I just was appalled, you know, because I'm very animated anyway. And I called the nurse and I said, you know, I just saw this thing and it's gone already, and I was afraid to tell anybody. I think that I'm getting spooky, you know.
Right.
And so I woke up the next morning, and they took me out of where I was and put me in a bed. And the doctor's name, I still remember, Dr. Myron Appel. He says, it's amazing. He said, this whole side is okay. You don't understand what happens. It goes up your body from the spinal to the bulbar, polio. And he said, I can't believe it. So I was left with this leg residual, which I exercise all the time still, and I dive, and I just did 40 laps
so you
the
do a
other
lot
day
of
in the
exercise.
pool.
So
no, I'm an athlete. I'm very athletic.
So this actually happened.
But I have trouble with my foot. Yes, it bothers me, the pain at times, and my back a little bit, but not bad. I can, you know, because I did leads in television shows after that.
After that, you
But I got better, and they took me back in a wheelchair to the General Hospital here in Los Angeles, and they drew out 7 quarts of water out of my body with needles.
Ooh.
Because my legs from laying in the bed so long, and the water, and I've always had real good legs, as you can see. They're thin, right?
You got great legs.
I do have great legs.
Yes,
excuse me.
That's okay, sweetie.
I looked at one of them, I couldn't believe it. It was that big, I swear. And I couldn't understand it. The doctor told me, here, you have like water on the body or something from laying back, because I was there for a long time, you know, months. But in between, I didn't tell you, they didn't have enough glucose and globulin. So they put me on an airplane in the lung, and they flew me to Corpus Christi, Texas, where this girl was.
This is where it happened.
Yeah, and they found out that they had that stuff there, the blood plasma.
Right.
And that she would be there at the, you know, to meet us, because I wanted to be with somebody I knew.
And this was your classmate?
At Brown School
College,
for Girls, yes. I was sent there because I was getting a bit out of hand. And
go ahead.
My mother and Mr. Mayor decided I had.
So you arrived there, and then, my God.
And then, yeah, and then I came back to Los Angeles, and I got up and started doing some, within 6 months I was running around.
You went back to work?
Yeah.
You determined, Carol Brewster, determined to go back to work.
I'm determined
you loved
to do
your work
something
so
now.
much
I do.
that Rosemary's Baby came. That's the movie with Roman Polanski. Tell me about Roman Polanski and...
that was when I was going through the divorce. I did better in television.
You did a lot of TV right after that?
I did better parts on TV than I did in you know, movies. Yeah, I really did.
You like to talk about television instead of movies, mostly. Is that it, Carol?
No, I just went to Roman Polanski because I knew Bob Evans from dating him in the past. I had dated him when I was...
You dated Bob Evans?
Yes, I did, when I was a model. And he was a very young man, and so he changed later on.
What do you mean by changed later? Tell me, what you mean by changed later?
Well, I think when he was younger, he was a little more conservative. But he's a very handsome man.
What is he today now? What do you feel today? Bob Evans is. He's a wild man today?
But I'll tell you, this will explain it all. I was in the market in the Vons the other day, and Bob Calhoun, who is a real estate man, knows everybody in town.
Rob Calhoun.
Okay. He said, I haven't seen you since, well, it's about when they did that movie with Ronald Reagan, the announcer of the Death Valley days. He said, gee, you changed. I have changed a lot. I think what happened to me was, when I had the polio, I realized that just being, I was so driven to be an actress, it was a sickness, really, and I know people that are like that. That's all I wanted to do, and I drove myself to sickness is what I did, overdid, say. I was overtired. And I wanted to act, but I had a whole different perspective on life. Believe me, when you are nearly dead, you get a new perspective on life, and he hadn't seen me since then.
What has been the biggest lesson that you have learned, Carol Brewster?
Well,
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to make you cry.
Okay.
Forgive me, darling.
I think that I had to learn that God really has it all under control, and that there is a God. I even said to Jack Cummings, who read my little story I wrote.
You're a very spiritual lady, aren't you?
Yeah. And I said, people wouldn't think so, because I'm kind of like Lucille Ball. I got an awful lot of energy. In fact, she used to say, you're exactly like me. I said, well, not exactly. You're you and I'm me, and that's the truth. But I was raised in a Christian home, and that doesn't mean anything.
Is that what? Yes, it does. That's what we're missing today in our life.
I was raised in a Christian home.
Don't you think we're missing that today in our life?
Yes,
that's what's happened with this country?
This country is really in for a big fall.
Because
it's in the Bible, dear, and it's. I'm not trying to preach to anybody.
No, I understand that.
Or to you either. There is a Sodom and Gomorrah Roman type thing going on in this country.
It is right now.
It's if you lose your moral code, and I'm not trying to be a sample of anything, but there is. As I've gotten older, I have gotten much, much wiser. And
you are a wise lady, aren't you?
Yes.